Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to kick it off immediately. Really happy to have you here today. We're expecting many of you are already Desk customers, and for those of you that are not Desk customers, do not worry. We're going to be explaining some of the features that we're talking about today so that no matter if you're a customer who's already had exposure to what we're talking about, great. If you're brand new, great. I think you'll still be able to get that amazing benefit. So this is the webinar, Know When Your Customers Need Special Attention Before They Do. My name is Elvis. I'm a manager of product marketing here at Desk.com. And let's kick it off. So you can join the conversation. You're joining the conversation right now because you can just type all of your questions right there in that little box. And we will get to all of your questions at the end of the webinar. You can tweet us at Desk, hashtag #CustServeWins. Any of your questions, comments about this webinar or anything else. We are recording this webinar. So if you have colleagues that are missing this, or you have to hop off early and you miss something that you really want to catch up on, we will be posting this not only to our YouTube page, but we're also going to be sending this to everybody that registered so that you will have all of the information that you need. As with every single thing that a Salesforce product/company says, we want to tell you about our forward-looking statements. Now, all the technology we're talking about today is generally available, but because we're a publicly traded company, we ask for those of you that aren't yet Desk customers to please base any purchasing decisions only on currently available technology. So what's today's agenda? So we're going to kick off today, and I'm really excited to talk about today because it's something that's really, really important. This isn't a fad. The companies that know more about their customers and can predict more about their customer behavior are the companies that are going to succeed. They're the companies that are going to have that competitive advantage, the companies that are going to stand out. So we're going to preface this webinar by talking about customer sentiment as seen through the eyes of our product and through our product team, who I will, of course, be introducing here shortly. And we're going to talk about why it matters. And so that customer sentiment starts with customer satisfaction. We already have that in place, but we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about what the highlight of the webinar is today, and that's Customer Health Monitor. I won't talk too much about it now. I'll just tell you it's amazing. We're really excited to have it. It's the first in its class in this industry, and so we're really excited to be the front runners in presenting this type of technology to you. And then so this webinar and the demonstration will last about 30 minutes. We'll have about 15 minutes of Q&A depending on how many questions that we have, but our plan here is to wrap up this webinar by 10:45 so that you can get on with your day. So I've already introduced myself. I'm really, really excited to have Brooke Lane, our Director of Product here, and also the architect and the head honcho of Customer Health Monitor and CSAT. Brooke, you want to say hello?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for attending.
And I'm going to let Brooke take it over from here. So Brooke, why don't you tell us a little bit about customer sentiment from your point of view?
All right, so we'll back up a step because one of the things that I like to highlight is the power of the Desk.com suite of tools. And generally, and I realize a lot of the customers who are on this webinar are new customers or looking at the Desk.com system. So one of the things that I've seen as customers kind of evolve through the utilization of Desk is a natural progression they have. The first thing that the new Desk customer does is they kind of get set up on the system and they realize the ease of use that Desk gives you in terms of viewing and handling your contact volumes. And then as they do that for a little bit of time, then they start using tools like the data collection and organization tools. They start using labels and custom fields, and they start using reporting to try to extract information about what their customers are doing. And then as they move forward a little while longer, they start to realize that there are additional workflows and business process tools like rules and macros that can be exploited in Desk. And so they start using those, and then again, as they move along a little bit further, they finally get to the point of realizing that there are more things that Desk can enable you to do, especially in the area of customer satisfaction and understanding customer sentiment. And the thing that I'd like to say to all of you is that there is no need to go through a progression like that. You can do all of those things in parallel, and Desk enables you to do all of those things. So I'd encourage you to start out by looking at Desk holistically and at implementing, especially those customer satisfaction and customer sentiment tools right off the bat, because it'll give you a real advantage in your area. And in today's world, we need to be extremely aware of customer sentiment. Even the most transactional of customers and most transactional of companies are realizing now that we're in a relationship world, especially with social media, with Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat. Every transaction is an interaction that can either be highlighted or hit on by their customers. And so we really want to enable you to take advantage of the ability to get insight into your customer's sentiment and take advantage of these opportunities to do what's best for your customer and hopefully give yourself the highest probability that their comments about you, that their interactions with you are going to be all positive.
So, Brooke, let's talk a little bit about the need to actually predict and to actually take the first step, to have us as a business or our Desk.com customers be the ones to actually take the first step, because customers aren't always the best indicator of either happiness or discontent, right?
That's absolutely correct. And in the slide up in front of you it highlights that. 96% of unhappy customers don't complain. And 91% of those customers simply drop off and don't come back. So again, we all understand the cost benefit of an existing customer versus a new customer. It's so important that we take those existing customers and not only make them happy with us and our company, but also make them proponents of our company, our products, and our services.
Yeah, and something that's foundational to that, of course, is not only CSAT and customer health monitor like we'll talk about, but just the basic premise that customer service shouldn't be looked at as something you have to do. Customer service should actually be looked at as something you can very easily, with the right process, tighten up. You can stand out amongst your competition, but it's the most difficult for your competition to copy, right? We all know in this day and age with technology, if you have the right people in place, you can copy somebody else's technology. But it's a little bit harder, right, Brooke, to copy somebody's process of what makes a great customer service product.
That's correct. And one of the things I highlight to customers all the time is that if your company is looking at your contact organization as a cost center, then you're doing something wrong. What you want is for your company to perceive your contact organization as a value center, as a builder of brand, as a outbound relationship component and instrumental to making your company successful. And all of those things are entirely possible.
So let's kick it off and talk about customer satisfaction.
So we launched late last year, our customer satisfaction product, and it's taken off like crazy, and customers really enjoy the ease of use and the information they can get from it. So what you see here on this slide is, on the left side, you see what a customer satisfaction survey looks like when it comes in on an email. You'll see it's simply 4 smileys and a statement that you create yourself. So one of the things we thought was really important is that you get to create the statement that most reflects your company, the question you want to ask, the brand, your image. And so while I have written here, how satisfied are you with the resolution we provided today, you can obviously get much more creative or much more targeted with your question. And then on the right side, let's go back for 1 second. On the right side, we have the additional information component of customer satisfaction that we give you. We realize that once a customer has clicked on one of those smiley faces on the email, once they've engaged with you, even to that degree, their propensity to give you more information is much, much higher. And so we allow you to create a second question, an open-ended question, to try to draw some additional information out from your customers. Again, this can be as simple as tell us what we're doing right or what you need, or it can be targeted to particular areas of your business. And then we've allowed you to utilize those CSAT scores and rules. So now you can go into Desk.com rules and create rules around customer satisfaction. So you can say to yourself, or you can say to your support organization, anytime we get a negative CSAT rating, let's do something. Let's reopen the case and put it in front of a tier 2 agent. And maybe we can save that customer or hopefully improve that satisfaction by a degree or 2. So if we see that the case can be remedied or the customer's sentiment can be improved, we can take action on that very easily.
So, Brooke, let's do something a little bit non-traditional here that we usually wait until the end, but this is such a timely question. I want to capture it. So, can you talk about what triggers customer satisfaction?
Great question. So we actually have two choices in customer satisfaction. One is on the first resolution, CSAT on the first resolution, and the other one is send a CSAT survey with every resolution.
Great. So let's transition. We view customer satisfaction as really the bedrock of customer sentiment. So let's take, several steps forward and really talk about customer health monitoring.
So again, we really got great feedback on customer satisfaction, but we started looking at today's world, at the technology that's available to us, and more importantly, the data that Desk.com has about customers, and we realized we could do more. We looked through our data and we said, what are some parameters that we could utilize to develop a quote-unquote score for customers so that we could get maybe even some additional insight into what those customers' emotional well-being is beyond just the satisfaction score, that transactional satisfaction score they give us on a particular case. And we developed the customer health monitor, and we'll show you how it's implemented. But one of the really cool things is when you set up customer health monitor, you do it in the admin, and you're able to tailor it to your particular company. So we have these indicators. We have these 4 parameters: average case interactions, tickets in the last 60 days, currently open tickets, and average CSAT in the last 60 days. And we allow you to determine what those thresholds are between what's good and average and poor for all 4 of those thresholds. We also allow you to turn on and off any of those thresholds if you don't feel that they pertain to your business. And we think this is what's truly kind of revolutionary in the support industry about this product is we're not trying to outsmart you. We're actually opening up this system to allow you to tailor it to your particular business. It also allows you to make little tweaks that are really simple to make, but allow you to adjust to your changing and evolving business. If your business changes so that average case interactions goes up because of product complexity, you can go in here and change it. If, for example, you realize that the number of tickets that you've got a busy season through November and December, and the number of tickets in the last 60 days is going to go up, but you don't want a whole bunch of red flags, you can simply go in on November 15th and crank up tickets in the last 60 days. And on January 1st, you can ratchet it back down to what the typical non-busy season volume is going to be. So again, we give you the flexibility to make these changes and adjustments for yourself.
So, Brooke, this is really great, and I know you and your team put a lot of thought into building this product, and it really is uncharted territory. I'm sure a lot of people on the phone are, familiar, of course, with customer satisfaction, Net Promoter Score, which is, obviously for those of you that don't know, is basically a survey you send out. It's maybe like a customer satisfaction plus type of survey that you do every couple of months that basically asks, would you recommend our business? Now, those are great in some respect, but can you tell us, why is Customer Health Monitor different and improved, and why specifically did you choose these 4 variables?
Yeah, great questions. So obviously we are big proponents of transactional customer satisfaction. It makes a lot of sense to be asking your customers about those interactions that they've had at the time that those interactions happen or immediately after those interactions happen. I am personally a big proponent of Net Promoter Score. I've used Net Promoter Score when I've managed support organizations in the past, but those are long-term indicators of customer sentiment. And when I go out with Net Promoter Score surveys, those are not just to my customers who've interacted with me in the support organization, but those are across my entire customer base. And that has a different focus. What we've done here is we've tried to look at the support ecosystem, at the behaviors of customers who are interacting with your support organization so that you can improve those customers' experiences. We realize that with any business, there are a subset, usually a majority of customers that never interact with you in the support organization. And so you need to have what we feel is that you need to have a system that looks at the larger ecosystem of your support organization and just those customers who are interacting with you, and then tailor a sentiment indicator, a sentiment tool like this to those customers. And then we realize that there's variability, right? That one of the great things about this tool is that from a business process, from a workflow process, from an efficiency standpoint, most of your customers will fly right through it. Green is the norm. I would expect that for most of your organizations, between 80 and 95 or more percent of your customers will be green on these indicators, and we'll show what the indicator looks like in a moment. And that means you generally do nothing, right? So we don't want to slow you down unless there's reason to pause. And that's part of the system. That's the system we've built, and that's part of the reason why we selected these particular parameters.
Awesome, thanks. All right, let's see what they look like.
So this is what the customer health monitor looks like in the agent, and I'll show you a demo in a couple of minutes here. But really, it's this little colored indicator that appears by the avatar for the customer, and you can see this one is yellow. There'll be red, yellow, or green. And when you mouse over that colored indicator, you can see a rollout of what the components that created that score. So we see this customer is orange or yellow, sorry. We roll over them. We see that their health score is average, and we look and see that the parameters that have driven that health score to average are average case interactions and open customer cases. And those might encourage us to do something or not do something. We'll cover that on the next slide, or when we roll into a demo.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's go ahead. I'll give you some control here, Brooke, and let's show these guys what Customer Health Monitor is all about. Okay.
All right, so we're going to my screen.
We're good.
All right, so to set up Customer Health Monitor, you simply go into Settings and scroll down, and on the left side here, you'll see Health Monitor. You can see the parameters. Again, you can turn in on and off, and then I can just click here and change any of those parameters to the values that I choose. So it's as easy to set up as that, and easy to adjust and change as what I just showed you. What does it look like for a case? So here is a case, and here's the ability to see that what drove that customer's score. And again, as I said, most of your customers, the vast majority of your customers should be green and should go right through the system, should not cause you pause. But with Desk, we allow you to take action, or at least do investigation if you choose. So let's say this customer, rather than, I see with this customer with a parameter change I just made, has now moved into yellow for 3 of the parameters. So let's say that causes me to say, I'd like to look into this a little more and understand what's going on with this customer. So as simply as clicking on the customer name up here, I can go in and see what their recent cases were. And I can do things like simply look and say, well, there was a damaged item, there was an returned exchange item, there seemed to be a connection problem, more info, right? I can look at things as easy as labels and say that maybe their sentiment is down, or maybe the potential for their emotional well-being being compromised is because they've had trouble with my company or our processes or delivery or problems. I might even see something like, there will be times when you'll go into here and you'll see that a customer has emailed you on the same issue 4 times over a weekend, right? And so you can simply utilize that information to go into those 4 cases and merge them into one using Desk's tools. And now you've got a single case that you respond to on Monday morning. So there's an infinite number of potential scenarios, but we try to give you the tools to allow you to conduct investigations and and take the next steps in the most intelligent way possible. Again, we're trying to also expand your view from that single ticket interaction to the entire customer's profile, through this.
Awesome. So I want to also, I know there's a ton of questions already, which is awesome, and I want to get to them, but there is a critical question that I know we should have brought up to begin with. Two quick things. Number one, to enable Customer Health Monitor, you have to be on our Business Plus edition. So if you're on Pro or Standard, you will unfortunately not have access to this. But please, if you require more information after this webinar, please let us know. But right now, currently, this is for our Business Plus customers. And two, the admin that Brooke is showing you right now, some of you may see a different admin. For the next gen or the newer agent, you can actually go into your settings and you can now actually toggle one little switch so that you can change your admin from the classic view that you're used to the current view that you're now seeing Brooke demonstrate. So I wanted to clarify that. Sorry we didn't clarify that before, but I did want to clarify that. So let me take this back, and we have so many questions, so let's get right to it. Let me take back control. Great. So again, I know most of you, obviously, especially from the questions, are probably already Desk.com customers, but for those of you that are not, really quickly, Desk.com is Salesforce's out-of-the-box support application for fast-growing businesses. So this is specifically designed to be, something you can use right away. Setup is, you can happen in hours. You don't need IT. You don't need, partners to do this. You can do it yourself. It has a ton of agent productivity tools. You can obviously see here from customer satisfaction and customer health monitor that, as Brooke said, there's a lot of features that go into Desk that shouldn't be viewed as next level or let's look at those down the road. There's a lot of these features that you should start looking at and utilizing in tandem with the everyday basic functionality that you're already using, such as productivity tools. This is how you stand out from day one, and this is really how you're going to stand out amongst your competition. And then the 360-degree customer views part isn't something we're focusing on today, but it basically means Desk.com has some great integration capabilities that not only allow you to connect Desk with the rest of your business, but allows you to bring some of your business directly into the agent console so that your agents don't have to toggle between screens, and so your agents have much more visibility into your customers should they be interacting with different parts of your business. So that being said, I'm going to kick it off to questions because I know we have, a ton. So let me get to questions here. One second here. Great. So there's actually a lot of questions about CSAT, and I want to clarify a few of those. So the first question that really came up is, so number one for CSAT, Brooke, can you talk about where does CSAT exist in the admin, and how do you actually enable that follow-up question feature in CSAT?
Okay. So if you go in admin and you go to the cases tab at the top and look down the left side, you will see customer satisfaction as a sub-tab on the left. You click on that, and that's where you are able to set up customer satisfaction. You create this question you want to ask. You determine whether you want to use a 2-smiley or 4-smiley scale. You can activate that additional feedback mechanism, and then you can type in the question you want for the additional feedback, all there.
Awesome. And in terms of, again, going back to when CSAT can trigger, a great question is, so this individual is hoping that CSAT can become more of a post follow-up email instead of just included in the resolution email. Is there a way at this point in time to customize kind of when that CSAT survey triggers?
We actually have that on our roadmap. As a follow-up to CSAT, we've gotten some feedback, some really good feedback too from customers, especially and some really solid use cases on why customers would like to do that. So we have a plan to create that as part of our notifications functionality in Desk. Don't have a timeline for that, but that is certainly on our roadmap.
Great. And another great question too is, so what are some best practices you've seen some of our customers do to rectify, a poor customer health score? So if something's in the red, what do you think at a high level are some of those best practices you can do?
It's funny because sometimes it is just a matter of adding a sentence or two to an email and training your agents on how to handle those customers with just the slightest amount of white glove. It has amazing results. So I see that you've emailed us a lot over the last few weeks, Mr. Customer. I hope that you're getting sad. I hope our responses are to your satisfaction, right? Something as simple as that can go a long way with a customer. And then obviously too, if you start to drill down on tickets and see particular areas of concern, bad satisfaction ratings for a particular reason, something that you might be able to remedy, some way that you can reach out to the customer, that reactive post-transaction additional interaction by you can go a long way as well, and we've seen customers have great success with that.
Great. Another thing, so there's a question about NPS, about incorporating NPS. Right. So right now, Desk.com does not have an NPS functionality. Right. We've chosen at this point in time to really put our focus and our eggs in the customer satisfaction and the customer health monitor basket for the reasons that Brooke kind of described earlier in the webinar. Let's see here. Oh yeah, do you have any recommendations, this is for you, Brooke, to encourage responses via CSAT? People that are getting few responses, any best practices there?
Yeah, I think I would play around with the question, right? You might become a little more playful. You might do a all caps, hey, and then type out your sentence, or we really value your feedback. Please take a moment to let us know what you feel about our interaction today, or something like that. So I just encourage you to play around with the question.
Great. Another question around customer health monitor. We're talking about how right now this is currently at the individual level, but can you talk a little bit about maybe our roadmap and how we're looking to aggregate that information and maybe talk about a company health monitor score?
Definitely. Yeah, we're really looking forward to continuing to build out that functionality. And we realize that rolling it up, that continuing to expand the functionality at the company level is important to us. We have a long, medium-term initiative that one of the other product teams is working on with respect to kind of expanding company functionality and also looking at customers within a company. So how can I view a company, and then how can I view those customers within that company, and look at things like the customer health or the number of interactions among those customers, so that I can even segment within a company and treat customers within a company differently. But love the question because, and it certainly is something other customers are going to feedback on, and something that we're focusing attention on right now.
Great. So there's a few questions around reporting. So actually one is like, is there any time, I don't know, we have some time. Can we demo some of the reports? Do we have that available in the demo? And then number two is there a pop-up for agent specific, similar to CSAT, or reports that we can monitor? Maybe I think the question is more, can you talk a little bit about how we can monitor agent performance in Desk.com right now, whereas Customer Health Monitor is primarily focused on the customer?
That's a great question. So CSAT definitely goes down to the agent level, and agent performance can be assessed through the agent's report. We also have tools to allow you to export information if you want to do some of your own analysis for whatever reason. But we definitely have that ability at the agent's level. And one of the great things, one of the things that we try to do, because it's so key core to our customers' needs, is to really look at agent performance and agent productivity metrics, and the ability for a manager to sit down with an agent, for example, with enough information to have a really good conversation. So a manager can sit with an agent, go into their agent detail report, sort by CSAT, and start opening cases with poor CSAT and say to the agent, let's try to understand whether the problems here, the customer issue was with the product, with our process, with delivery, or with you, the agent, and then try to remedy what we can or get information to other groups as appropriate.
Great. Do we have an opportunity to maybe show some of those reports?
Yeah, let's go into dashboards for a moment.
Let me give it back to you.
All right, so we have one of the things that we've launched in 2015 and have continued to build on throughout the year is our dashboard, and we're really happy with the kind of information it gives to you. Some of the most recent enhancements to the dashboard are this last 100 CSAT scores, and then customer satisfaction widgets that can be built at the agent or group level. So if I've got you'll see that this would show the last 100 CSAT scores. I don't have this populated with 100 CSAT scores for my demo site, but you can see the most recent one is a bad satisfaction score. I can actually go into an email and apply a good, oh, sorry, I missed that one. Apparently I can't do that. Here it is. I've responded. So I've allowed that email to expire. I can't do that. But anyway, what you would see immediately after a new CSAT score was generated is that it will appear here on the right side. It will also appear here on my customer satisfaction widget, which is a pie chart, and it would show, a one green, for example, for the day. So satisfaction is highlighted on the dashboard, and then it's also highlighted across reporting. So if we look at the overview report, for example, you'll be able to see that we have a column in the overview report for customer satisfaction, and then certainly in our other reporting, our agents reports, our groups reports, and so on. So here's our CSAT column. This creates a numeric value for CSAT that you can compare across days or across agents or across groups.
Awesome. Thanks, Brooke. So let's go back to some questions here. We have a few more questions, guys. Thanks for hanging on. There are so many questions. In all the webinars I've done, I've honestly never seen so many questions, so I really appreciate it. So let's see. This is a really good question. I hope this kind of pertains to a lot. So this is a specific business. They're saying you're in the tourism business, and it's not so clear-cut of what a particular problem or question or issue is, which means it's difficult to determine when a case is actually resolved. And I can understand that because a lot of our customers have kind of ongoing, more complicated relationships with their customers. But in cases where there's not a clear beginning and end resolution, Brooke, how would you recommend that customer health monitor work in situations where that's the case?
That's such a good question. And for a time, I worked in a digital book publishing company, and we did a lot of editing. And it was very similar to that. You would have round after round after round of editing, and of course, something like editing of a book could go on forever. But you have to kind of work with your agents and work with your agent experience and knowledge to understand what that kind of resolution event is from a from a normal distribution standpoint. So we might say that after 4 edits, then rather than setting a case into pending status, expecting another one, we set it to resolved, go out, get a customer satisfaction score, and then let time, and normal process happen as it might, and things, cases might be reopened or whatever. But again, a lot of that comes down to the business rules that you determine with your organization and with an understanding of what your customer can do or what your customer is likely to do. And it's not something you can necessarily automate. It's more of a way that you train your agents to utilize a system like Desk and when to do something like set a case in from a pending, rather than setting a case into pending status, into a resolved status.
Cool. Hey, Brooke, so we have a few great questions about, and this is kind of outside the scope, but can you just really quickly show the folks how they can change the admin skin?
Oh, yeah, let's see. Did a while back. This is a test. So I think we just go into admin and then over the settings and down here, next gen admin. I can set it back to the old one and then toggle it back to next gen when I want. but that's the setting right there. It's under settings, site settings.
Awesome. Thanks, Brooke. And if you guys are not seeing that, please reach out to support@desk.com. They can certainly help you. That should be available for everyone, regardless of what plan you're on. Let's see. We have time for a few more questions. Yeah, so here's another one, a similar question. So how would you recommend going about figuring out customer sentiment for customers that don't regularly reach out to you? So whether when you're not in a case or you're not solving an issue, I don't know, what in maybe customer satisfaction or customer health monitor might that do? Or maybe would you recommend, some other options?
Yeah, I think that's one of those, a great question, by the way, and you're really challenging me. I think that, we try to work within a system that allows us to capitalize on data that we have. And sometimes the best indicator of a customer's well-being when they first come in, especially if you don't have frequency with customer interactions, or you have a very transactional group of customers, is to just look at the wording of the email. And this really calls out the value of experienced employees who've been with you for a while, employees who've interacted with tens to hundreds of customers on email, and trying to share that information across your organization. Pulling agents aside for a brown bag or something with the most experienced agents, and looking at 10 or 20 emails and trying to just evaluate what the customer's emotional well-being is based on those transactional interactions that they have with you, with the tone of the email. So I don't know if I don't really have a good data answer for you, but from experience, I think I would definitely capitalize on the experience of your organization and try to share with the newer employees and across your organization what experiences employees and agents have had.
Great. Let's see. When you toggle each of the categories on or off, it will directly impact the average, the health average of the customer, right? So can you talk about not only the ability to toggle what the thresholds are, but what happens when you actually just use maybe less than 4 of the variables?
Yeah, well, again, we tried to keep this simple with as much built-in intelligence as possible. So a yellow indicator says to you that one of the parameters that you've turned on, has gone to yellow, and a red indicator says to you that one of the parameters that you've enabled has gone red. And so by mousing over that, you'll see if you've turned one of them off, you'll see that the 3 remaining show, and you'll see which ones are yellow and which ones are red.
Great. So I think that's all the time we have. There's a few questions that you guys have asked that actually require probably much more in-depth follow-up, which I will follow up with you personally, I promise. But if there's no other general questions, we want to thank you for your time. We're really glad to have this conversation. We're really happy to be able to present Customer Health Monitor. Obviously, if the decision was ours, we'd make this available to everybody, but there's obviously very complicated business decisions that require, new and very robust features like this to start, with our highest editions. But again, the future is always, of course, unpredictable, and we hope that we always want to offer as much value as possible to all of our customers. So please continue to check in and listen and reach out to your Desk.com account executive or support@Desk.com. And again, just to remind you guys, if by chance you missed any portion of this webinar or want a follow-up of all these questions, I am recording this webinar. I'm going to send it out to everybody that's registered, and you can, of course, share the link with your colleagues or those that were not able to attend, and this will also be available on our YouTube page. So with that, again, thank you so much for your time, and we'll speak to you soon.